Hi everybody, this is Henna. So Henna is a multifaceted movement artist based in Pune and has a traverse experience with dance styles from contemporary to Bharatnatyam. Trained at Art Gallery Center for Movement Arts. Her journey also includes explorations and training in hip hop, breaking, and house dance. Furthering her passion, she delved into dance movement psychotherapy at Goldsmiths, University of London. This ever evolving path has transformed her relationship with dance. Henna runs the Open Door, a studio space dedicated to fostering art, movement, and art based therapy, creating a welcoming space for creative expression and well being. So, thank you, Henna, again. For joining. And today we will be basically discussing about nurturing a culture of accountability and passion in our personal dance practice and journeys, and also in an organizational setting. Henna, so the first, I think, question or like the thought we have in line is with regard to your recent practice, which is about dance movement psychotherapy. If you can, take us through as to what it is and, give us an insight about the vision and
Yeah.
your journey and everything. Yeah.
I've always been a dancer and I've been dancing, I don't know, for the last 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow, because of different experiences that I've had, I found myself um, leaning towards dance therapy and trying to understand how you can use dance differently or how you can access dance to understand yourself also, because a lot of the times I think I would just dance because I was told, okay, now you do this, you do that, you do this choreography, and you
Yeah.
need to perform. And I think during COVID is when I realized that that's not the only thing that I want from dance, and I want something more from it. And of course, even dance is not just that, right? Like it has a lot of other things to offer as well. So
Yes.
that is how I ended up looking for colleges and then doing dance movement psychotherapy. And I always find myself not having words to explain what my experiences are. And dance movement psychotherapy helped me use non-verbal ways of communication or use movement differently. And it took a very long time. Like, I don't think I still have it fully, but there is a big part of it where that there were 2 years when I was doing dance movement psychotherapy, and I kind of felt that I am quite far from actually dancing,
Okay.
and that that came with sort of reflecting and going deeper into understanding what dance means for me. And the minute you start using your body, uh, you realize that your body has been through so much. Your body has 26, 27 years of doing things which you've not always reflected on. So when I did movement therapy is when I sort of understood that, okay, I'm reflecting differently, I'm understanding movement differently. When I'm asked to move, I'm not just thinking of performing, but I'm also thinking of me in it and how I feel and what I feel and how I'm performing it. So basically, yeah, dance movement psychotherapy is a very wholesome way of understanding your body, understanding your mind, and understanding that it's all one and it comes together and you can't separate um, different parts of your body and mind. And it it benefits a lot of, like, I don't think it's for a specific group of people. You can work like I've worked with kids who are as old as 1.5, 2 year olds till adults who are up to 60, 65, 70. So there is no age limit also for it. And yeah, yeah,
Hmm. That's nice, Hannah. I remember you sharing something really beautiful. You said there was one class which was just about looking at your palms. Can you like share something like that? Because I feel it's so important as professional dancers when we trained here. We were
yeah,
so overloaded with information and we didn't know what to do with it.
yeah,
And to just
yeah,
sit with ourselves. So if you have like moments, so we have like more insight into those kind of practices
Yeah.
and what exactly is it. So it'll be, yeah.
Yeah. We had this lecture in our course, and I think we were studying about understanding lived experiences of people and how do you um, how do you use dance therapy, or how do you explain it to people? Because a lot of the times people think it's just dancing or coming for a 1 hour class, and dance already has a therapeutic value to it. And I personally struggle with slowing down. Like I need to keep going or I need to keep doing something. So in one of these lectures, we were asked to sit, and before we started the session, we just had to look at our palms, and that made me cry. For the first 5 minutes, I was just crying because I was looking at my palms, and it's crazy what you feel when you slow down and just notice your body or notice your hands and notice the temperature of your palms. And it, like, even now when I'm doing it, I feel like, okay, I'm a bit nervous that I'm on this live call with people watching on Instagram, and just taking a minute to notice what you're feeling or just like looking at your palms brings in a lot of thoughts and a lot of reflections about where you are right now. And I think that is also very helpful.
Mm.
And
Yeah, that's really nice. Yeah, that really stayed with me when you said that. No, like the beauty of slowing down, which we hardly do in this hustle
yeah,
culture.
yeah,
Yeah. So, which brings us to the next question. Like, as a dance movement psychotherapist, how do you think we should care for ourselves and as dancers and others in space? Like, how can we invite care? Because we compromise a lot on our bodies, we
yeah,
push with injuries, we dance with
yeah,
injuries, and we romanticize that, which is not
yeah,
okay. And
yeah,
rest and recovery, I don't think we ever did that, especially
yeah,
when we started. And like the space was definitely said it was safe, but not a very it was just a terminology. But then what after, like, putting all
yeah,
those vulnerability into the space, what do we carry home, like we discussed.
yeah,
And so again, like, what do you think, because we have evolved as an artist and a practitioner, can we, like, we all have evolved so much
yeah,
from what we really wanted in the beginning. And yeah.
yeah, for sure. I think there is like taking accountability for yourself, first of all, when you enter a space, like, because if you don't know your limits, your boundaries, or your ways of entering into a space, I think it's hard to also understand what others come in with. And of course, when we were younger, we were very, like, we wanted to push through everything and try to prove that, okay, I can dance and I can do anything that's given to me. So I
Mm-hmm.
also had this very uh, just at some point of time, I don't think I had a very good relationship with dance because I kept pushing myself to dance even when I knew my ankle is injured, I have fever, I'm not feeling well. But it was just me trying to prove that I can dance no matter what. But it took a lot of time for me to understand that, okay, I need to take care of myself in a space. And I think right now, I realize that when I model that care is when others around me will also do the same, because I can't expect others to do something and then not do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think knowing, like, checking in with myself is something that really helped. So one of the things that I would say, how do you bring in care into a space, is to check in with yourself, check in with others, and maybe a lot of the times when you start in a class or when you start a process, I find it very important to start in a circle so that everybody's starting at the same place. You're
Mm-hmm.
together. There's a very, you can see everyone who's around you. You can see what others, how they're responding to what you're saying, how you respond to what someone else is saying. So checking in is a very big part of um, beginning to, like, planting the care in a space to know, okay, how has everybody come in? Who's come in with what injuries? Do you have any injuries? What are your expectations from this space? And Like, where do you see this process going? And it's really nice because you have everybody's opinions, point of views, and
Mm-hmm.
it becomes like a non-judgmental space also because you keep discussing.
Yeah.
Every time you meet, you keep discussing. And of course, what you say on one day can change on the other day. It doesn't always have to be the same. But we had this really nice thing in dance therapy where we would have experiential groups every Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And we would start in the same way. So you would have a check-in, you would have a movement exploration part of that experiential, and then you would have a checkout. And we were told by our tutors that whatever you share in this space, you keep it in the space. You don't go outside and discuss it because then it just becomes um, talking or gossip or
Mm-hmm.
discuss something that is not, then it takes the safety away from it. Then I'm talking to someone else and someone else has an opinion about it, and it would always make more sense for me to talk about it every Monday at the same time. If I feel something in that space, I bring it back to the same space and I don't take it outside. And that also helps me sort of stand up to myself, and it'll help even in a dance space. Like, how do you stand up for yourself, or how do you bring in these topics and talk about it, even though they're really scary and you I would get scared of getting yelled at sometimes, like because if I say something and someone doesn't like it. So yeah, checking in and discussing and having a feedback system, or
Mm-hmm.
trying to understand, like not taking it personally, but understanding that it's a community space also. You're doing it together, you're doing it with other people, you're not the only one there. So then knowing that you're I don't know, like you have others as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. And yeah, something I think recently I also experienced, I don't know if our dance culture in India is welcome of all this, like because it's a long way to go, because we are still inclined to the whole Guru Shishya. There's a strong hierarchy and power dynamic in a rehearsal space. And even when it comes to, like, for example, body shaming, which is a very
Yeah.
sensitive area, and a lot of dancers struggle with this. They come into space, and for somebody in a higher position to tell you that you have put on weight, and I was, there was a situation where I was in that situation. I didn't know how to stand up for this person, and that person was also in shock,
Yeah.
right? So I do you think, as a dance woman psychotherapist, how we can deal with situations like these where there's constant shaming, because these things manifest as a lot of eating disorders, because a lot
Yeah.
of dancers don't eat, they eat like one meal a day and stuff like that, and so many other things that it's very layered. So what do you have you ever encountered anything like this? And
I I feel like I haven't said anything when these things have come up in a space where I have been, like earlier.
mm-hmm.
But eventually later on I realized that, like, I also realized that we have this thing with authority where you are in a schooling system and you have to, like, there is this teacher student relation that you follow all your life. You cannot speak up to authority. So yes, I have seen it happen, and I have also then felt it for myself. But then a lot of spaces, if you have boundaries and if you have clear communication about what is okay, what is not okay, what do you where do you draw the line, or what are the limits for someone to say something? Like, even if a teacher says something, I know there were people in our class who would speak up, and then because we were scared we didn't say much, but then I know there were people who would speak up and say that this is not an okay way to talk to students, or this is not an okay uh, practice. And there it also requires a lot of trust amongst dancers to be able to come to the same come into the same space and be like, okay, this is not, we're not taking this, or we're okay with this and we're not okay with this. Also drawing lines and having boundaries in a space to understand what first of all, understand what does a safe space look like for individuals, and it is different for different people. And even in that, what are non-negotiables? What are some things that are absolutely not okay? What are some things that you want to change? And it's not as easy as telling someone off, but it's a whole system that's already been created, and
Yeah.
comes down to classes and different spaces, but then it's not about an individual or about a teacher. It is how even they have been brought up in their dance culture and in their dance journeys. So it is kind of like a system that you're going against to say that, okay, these things, these practices happened in the past and now you need to shift it. So even as someone who goes into teaching spaces, I try to be mindful and I try to have open dialogues with students or with other teachers as well to understand what makes this space safe and how can we keep communicating and keep building new systems for ourselves and not follow things that have always been happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Hmm. Makes sense. Yeah, I think that's, something that really, as upcoming dance community, we have to really reinforce and be out there. Yeah, so which brings us to the next thought in line is, have you ever experienced a moment where your passion for dance became a source of pain, and what helped you to return to it with care? Yeah.
Ah, amazing question. I thought about it, I've even written it yeah, but I don't, it keeps coming again and again. Like it's not a big moment where, okay, dance is causing me pain, but yeah, like there was when I didn't realize it until I started doing dance therapy, where it was the 2 years where I used dance very differently, and I didn't realize that I can use dance as something that will give me agency. And when I started doing dance therapies, when I realized that a lot of the times it hasn't always been convenient to dance, or it hasn't always like I haven't treated my body with respect, or I haven't treated um like I took pride in being resilient. And then when I did dance therapy, I realized it's stupid to be resilient sometimes. Like I didn't have to be uh resilient and fight for, like if my ankle is injured, I continue dancing. I go to the physio in the morning and then I go back to class at 8 a.m. and then I'm still dancing. And I think dance therapy shifted that for me, where I realized that, okay, I need to respect my body, or I need to understand how much I can push myself to dance, or how much I can push myself to do certain things. And the minute I did this whole therapy course, I kind of stopped dancing for some time. And then it took enough time of reflecting and understanding what kind of a dancer I want to be, what kind of a person do I want to be, what kind of a space do I want to create for others. And I would not want others to experience the same experiences that I have had. And that is when I think I began dancing again, or I began like slowly stepping into dance, or like slowly realizing, okay, this is not in between. I realized that contemporary is not something that I enjoyed for some time. Like it's not a style that I feel more comfortable in hip hop and breaking and house. And it took some time for me to also understand that, okay, it's okay to like other things and not just what you've trained in. So yeah, like accepting things, processing it, reflecting on them was a big part of coming back to dance, even after realizing how I've treated dance or how I've seen dance.
Hmm. Yeah, and then there's this thing of the hierarchy in dance styles as well, no?
There's
Like
something,
hierarchy in dances, like the dance forms, which
yeah,
also gets to us as dancers at some point, and we choose to train in a particular form, and
yeah,
and even though it's not the right space and things
yeah.
like that. So yeah, makes sense. And also this whole thing about acceptance is like a very beautiful thing, to accept that it's okay to like slow down or like you're injured. Because I remember I never saw you like hurt in my head. You're always you're always running around and like, you know, out there. And I know
Yeah.
when you told me that, you know, you had this ankle, and I never assumed that was even possible, you know. And
Yeah.
so I was like wondering what else the whole dance, you know, how dancers push through so hard to be
Yeah.
resilient and, you know, perseverant and stuff like that. But yeah, okay. The last question for the day is, what are some tools, because as young upcoming community, and how, you know, we can use to enrich choreographic spaces. This is in
Yeah.
lines with accountability as a choreographer, and this
Yeah.
is on a personal level but also an organizational level, you know,
Yeah.
because a lot of times there's a lot of dancers who are not heard because they feel exploited. And how can we be more sensitive in these things, and how can we be more inclusive? What are the steps we can take? And, you know, because yeah, if you pondered around anything.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, I would say I don't, I feel like I can give you tools and I can tell you things, but I feel like I don't have an answer to this because also seems like a bigger problem. Like it's not just something, yes, it starts at an individual level as well, where you focus on, like I said, checking in or having feedback systems or having a reflective practice. But like I also remember someone telling me that they're a theater practitioner, and every time they were asked to perform or they went into a deeper process, they would give their best, but at the end of it, they wouldn't know how do you close this practice, or how do you, like, there's so much that you give as a dancer or theater practitioner, or when you're using your body, there's so much that you try to go deep within and then you try to give to the process, but then you don't know how to bring that to an end, or you don't know how to process it or close it. So I think like one of the ways would be to make sure that you know, you take your time to come in and have a movement practice and build a movement practice for yourself, where dance is not just something that you're doing to earn money, to work, to perform, but you're also using dance as a practice to reflect on what you're feeling and take that responsibility for yourself to come in early into a space or call others earlier into a space and have a practice where movement also can be play. Movement can also be doing something funny, doing something more relaxing, having different grounding techniques to understand how you start at the same baseline and how everyone comes in with different emotions, feelings, thoughts, and then you still start on the same, you still start at the same place, and your intention towards a space, towards a process is very like you're together in what you're doing. And yeah, like having also the whole feedback system is something that when I am in a space, I would want to know if I'm bringing in something that people don't like, or I'm bringing in something that people like, so that we can work together. And a big part of dancing is community, working together,
Yeah.
dancing together. Like dancing alone happens, but also when you're doing it with people, it is nice to see everyone's on the same page, everyone feels the same things, and we're in the same, we're on the same journey.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, have you, like you said, no, how to start in a circle is something important for you. Do you think there are any activities you did to like that can enrich the well-being of dancers in space? You know, feedback is one thing, but like, have you ever pondered or like done activities that helped navigate this?
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of the times we would start with different games, or we would start with like your check-in can be a simple check-in about how you're feeling, but your check-in can be based on different things that come into the space. Like maybe you could pick something about your week that you didn't like, and then how do you put that into movement? That way, you're also like using movement not just to do a choreography or a performance, but you're doing it differently, and you're rewiring your body to understand movement differently. Like there's also that game of zip zap something. The game, like yeah, not making everything so serious, not
Yes.
making everything so
Yeah.
like oh, it's a circle, we need to do this, and yeah, like also taking ourselves a little more lightly and realizing we're all yeah,
Yeah, I mean that makes so much sense. It's so true. Like we take it too seriously, like and it way too professional. So I was also thinking around these tools, and I was thinking, like on a personal level, like mindfulness, to be
yeah,
mindful and claim agency over our own bodies, and supportive environment, and the finding nourishment and slowing down. I think a lot of somatic practices and breath work and
yeah,
even rest and recovery. These are on a personal level. But one challenge with regard to organizational setting is the financial sustainability, especially
yeah,
in India, because a
yeah,
lot of times we're asked to dance, for productions for free in the name of exposure. But again, as growing artists, how are we going to sustain if it's our mainstream career?
yeah,
And it's a big gap. And for that, I think we need a culture where everyone is respected,
yeah,
valued, and safe. Because I still remember, like a lot of choreographers used, around the world, they look at dancers are very replaceable. It's that's the term used, and they were very like open about these things, and
yeah,
like fostering a collaborative and supportive process. I mean, we hardly see that. It's just like
yeah,
deadlines sometimes, we just rush into productions,
yeah,
and open communication. Like, we hardly communicate, we hardly sit and talk. Shared responsibility is a big challenge, you know
yeah,
and I think mentorship and support has a lot to do with and enriching spaces where young like new dancers have access to, like experienced dancers. I think accessibility is also a big issue. Like, we don't have access. Like, how do
yeah,
we get to talk to these artists and grow? Because if you're not from a background in the arts and stuff like that,
yeah.
and yeah, so do you have any safe and inclusive environments when it comes to the I don't think inclusivity is still, it's a big challenge, at least in India, because a lot of organizations have a very specific kind of need and body type that they look for. And I think I was talking to one of the dancers for my paper, and she said, if you have a requirement, be open about it, but
Yeah.
be transparent. It's, it's not nothing to do with, feeling bad. And how can we address, like, how do we say that you are not, you can, there's always a professional way to say it. So,
Yeah.
and everything gets personal in the end and stuff like that.
I
So I
think
think, hmm,
yeah, I think like when you're saying all this, the only thing that comes to my mind right now is that in this last 1.5 year also with the studio,
mm-hmm,
I've come across so many people who all feel the same, and they're trying to build like they're trying to bring all of this into the community, into the dance community in their own ways. And
mm-hmm,
it's nice to have talks like these and also with like other people to discuss and know what like where is the gap and what is missing and how can you contribute to it. And there are a lot of people working really hard in India to make sure that this gap is bridged, or that there is I don't know, like you're dancing for the joy of dancing, you're bringing in people together. You are, because we've all been through so many different experiences,
yeah.
we're trying to make sure that the next generation or even people now are not going through it. So we're also creating a space that we need. And by doing that, you're making more space for other people to come in. And there is a lot more courage, a lot more speaking up right now in the dance community also to say that this is not okay and this is okay. Like people are not scared of speaking up right now. They will
Yeah.
if they have to. So it's really nice that there are people working towards it. There's you organizing this with different people and having talks and keeping it open. And of course, like everyone's experience is different. The context is different. The same thing doesn't apply to everybody. But
Exactly. Yeah.
I definitely see a change, and I definitely see, like you also by doing this, you attract people who have a similar mindset. You have people around you who are working towards the same goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, all this clicked after I did my master's in psychology. And
Yeah,
because there's something called ethics in businesses. And I
yeah,
was like, oh my God, contracts, a lot of, you audition for multiple things. And these contracts mention things like any physical, psychological, mental damage done to you. They don't take any responsibility. And it is not, I mean, I understand you don't want to take responsibility, but you can phrase it better.
yeah,
Because even in the HR, human resources, the term human capital was replaced by human resources instead of,
yeah,
because we didn't want capitalism in the first place. And that's also like a very, because it's dancing, I feel, is so qualitative, and we're trying to quantify it, and that is also an added stressor here. And
yeah.
yeah, so I think it's a long journey to go, but just unwinding and talking about these things, it really amplifies the message. Do you want to share something more about your new space and what you're exploring, and so that I'm so excited to listen. Ask you.
I mean, it's been nice. The Open Door started a year ago, and I think I started with just having a space to go to, something that I felt like, okay, I didn't have it, even though it existed in different ways. I feel like I want more of dance. I want a space for dance therapy and art and movement and everything put together. And the people that I've met because of the studio, it's been amazing. Like I've really the more I go to the studio, the more I realize that okay, there's so many people who want to do the same thing. There's so many people working towards the same thing, and it is like movement and therapy sort of coming together naturally. Like so many dancers practice somatic work in general. Like it's not just about coming to a space and dancing. It is something that I really like about the studio is that it has a kitchen and a room, so people just come and chill, sit, work. We're having tea, we go down to have tea. So I like that more
Mm,
than just coming and dancing and leaving. And there's different classes, there's different like contemporary classes happen, different workshops happen. And yeah, I'm pretty much open to having whoever wants whatever, just come and facilitate it, just come and take it, plan it, organize it.
mm.
And yeah, that way there's a lot more to do and there's a lot more to experience. And yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah. So thank you, Henna. So I will be, thank you all for watching patiently. And I will be sharing this on our pages so you can come revisit.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you everyone who stayed and watched.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Bye. Take
Bye
care.
bye.